Joining us now is a guy who knows what he's talking about, Dr. James Robbins. He was special assistant for Secretary of Defense during the Bush administration. Bush the younger, Donald Rumsfeld was Secretary of Defense. And Dr. Robbins is the Dean of the Institute of World Politics. We're very pleased to have him. So am I misstating anything? Am I missing anything in general, Doctor?
Bill, no, I think you've pretty much summed up what the dilemma is. We're fighting this war. It's not just a military war. There's an economic angle. There's a diplomatic angle. There's probably an intelligence angle that we don't know about. There's a lot going on, but as you say, it takes time. And there's not a big coalition that wants to wait for this. We're suffering to a certain extent from the economic impacts of this, which of course is what Iran's plan is to increase that pain. And you're right about the fact that the Iranians think they just have to wait it out. So as you say, there's really no incentive for them to make a deal.
All right. So I don't know whether President Trump anticipated all of this. I do know that I had a phone call with him about a week before the action started. And he wanted to make a deal. He wanted to go in with a negotiation. He did not want to use military action. I mean, I talked to him about it very frankly, and that was his point of view. And I said to him, and I've said this publicly as well, it's the biggest gamble you've ever taken in your life on any front, because these are people who simply see the world much, much differently. It's not Venezuela. It's not any of these other Western countries. These are people that are fanatical. They're willing to die for whatever. They don't care about their own people. So where is the negotiating hammer? And I believe that the Trump administration and Israel thought that a destruction of the country would bring them to their knees, and it has not. Were you surprised by that?
I'm a little surprised by it. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary that we took out their top leadership and, they're still going and then took a couple other levels of their leadership out and they're still fighting. So it's interesting. I think that they believe, probably rightly, that if they can wait this out, if they survive, they can declare victory. That's all they want to do.
That's all they want. Right.
Yeah. No matter what's going on in their country, if they survive, they're going to say they won. Saddam Hussein did that in 1991 after the Desert Storm, because we withdrew. He declared victory. Now, was it a victory? I don't know. He was still in power. So long as they're in power, so long as they're alive, they're going to say that they're winning. And what we've seen throughout the course of this is that rather than seeking compromise, they're actually expanding their demands. They're increasing their demands for ending this thing. So the economic strategy is beginning to tell. Their economy is kind of on the verge of a big collapse, but I think they can wait it out. And even if it collapsed, so long as they're in power, they don't care.
It's almost like the Vietnam War, where you could kill as many communists from the North, and the United States certainly did. All right. And they weren't going to surrender no matter what. No matter what, they weren't going to give up. And it went on and on and on and on. But now we have the added political component back here of a 5-month, midterm election, where the power structure could change in this country because Iran doesn't surrender. And the mullahs know that.
Oh, yeah. They're watching our media. They probably are selecting media that tells them that Donald Trump is in a huge political crisis, that the U.S. economy is collapsing, sure, and things like that. I'm sure that they're very selective in their choice of media, what they want to believe. It's not necessarily true, but it is true that there are political pressures building. And when you're fighting the type of war that requires patience and their economy to one day collapse, and we don't know when that day is, it becomes very difficult because you do get these countervailing pressures building inside our country for people to say, why are we doing this? And particularly the politicians say, we're just going to wait for this to happen.
It's the folks, too. They don't understand what's going on. 50% of them don't. And they're mad because they're going to pay more money for gasoline, and that's going to reflect in inflation across the board. Last question for you. If you were advising President Trump on this, could you bring him anything that he has not done?
I would say ramp up the pressure, not just the military pressure, although there could be some selective strikes on the oil infrastructure, on the gasoline refineries, and other things that would help send their economy over a cliff. I would say do more in terms of seizing the secret accounts of the IRGC leaders and other regime people who have these secret hard currency accounts, their own personal fortunes. I mean, if you want to get their attention, that's a great way to do it. And then use that seized money to underwrite the revolution by buying arms, by underwriting propaganda, paying for members of the military inside Iran to defect. I would think there are a lot of active measures in that respect, of things that we could be doing, and maybe we are doing covertly, but really amping up that effort because we don't have a lot of time.
Now, people don't understand how it works, so these mullahs, they all have money out of Iran and Switzerland and other places stashed away. And Lindsey Graham last night, the senator from South Carolina, was very bullish on the war. He basically said, well, give the Iranian people guns. But as you know better than anybody else, we armed the Iraqi resistance and it turned on us. And I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, is to arm people who are disorganized and discontent. I mean, they may turn those guns on you.
Yeah, that's true. It can be dicey. This is why I like the idea of undermining some of the military structures that already exist in the country, getting some people to defect. That's how it worked under Mossadegh. It was the army that switched sides. They already have weapons. They're already inside the country. They have a command structure. Maybe they can get the job done for us. And Iran already uses foreign mercenaries to kill their own people. So they don't even trust that their IRGC even would do the job for them. So to the extent we can undermine that, I think it would be positive.
That's what the Trump administration did in Venezuela, just bought the army. It's next time I talk to the president, if ever, I will bring that up. But you got to assume that the CIA and they got to know that they have to get enough defectors with power to bring this thing at least to some sort of closure. We appreciate it, Doctor. Very good discussion. Thanks for helping us out.